Hey, hi everybody. My name is Diane Garrett, and this is Dog's Voice. Your dogs are talking to you. Are you listening? I am author of Stress Release for Dogs, the Canine Emotional Detox, and founding member of PPG, as well as accredited professional dog trainer, fear-free certified, guild certified Tellington Touch Practitioner, and certifications in aggression and resource guarding, to name a few. And I am with guest Cynde Van VLeet, who is a mentor to me and was my colleague and now my friend for many years. And she is a CPDT-KA.
Oh, go ahead, Diane.
Yes, CPDT. I'm going to talk about you a little bit. Your beginning started with Dobermans, and your father showed them in conformation, and that's where you really saw things come together. You are a P3 Ttouch Advanced Practitioner and a member of PPG and IAABC, Aggression and Dog Certified and Fear-Free Certified, and the founder of Arc of San Juan Animal Rescue in 2006, and now founder president of Forever Home Animal Rescue 2010. Welcome, Cynde. So happy to see you here. And why don't you start by asking a few questions?
Well, first, I'd like to thank you for inviting me, Diane. This was a great opportunity to talk about rescue and what it takes really to start a rescue, or even if you're already in rescue, maybe some tips that you hadn't thought of. I think I'd like to start first with if everybody could open their microphones. I'd love to take questions, or I would love to know who's interested in starting a rescue. Basically, why you're here.
Well, I know there's a lot to do in starting a rescue, and it's not just that you go out and think one day that you're going to start one. So I guess my question would be, what would be the first thing that you would want to consider before you even want to start a rescue?
Well, as you said, that's exactly how a lot of rescues start, is,
Mona, welcome.
Is she able to hear?
Yeah, she's connecting to her audio.
Okay.
There she
So,
goes.
as I was saying, a lot of times it just starts very small, rescuing one cat or dog and fostering them until they can find their forever home. But then and it happens, it starts growing. And the next thing you know, you've got more animals than you can really take care of. So now you've got to start bringing volunteers in. And then you really need to start making it a legal entity by getting your 501c3 and so on and so forth. And that's what we're going to go into next. And the reason I have the title as I do, the ins and outs and ups and downs of rescue, to go. So why do we do what we do? Maybe something like this. Look at the worry on this poor baby's face. He doesn't know why he's in there. Where is his family? When are they going to come and get me? And who are you? And can you help me? So that's the look that you see on just about any of their faces, whether they're already in a shelter or running the streets, just lost and aimless. They're just wondering where their next meal is going to come from, kind of look. So there's a lot of considerations. First of all, you want to decide whether you want to be a foster-based rescue or a brick and mortar. Basically, that's a shelter. So there is a big difference between the two. The shelters almost always are run by a city, a county, even a state. So they're funded, whereas a foster-based rescue is not unless you've got some great donators. And I haven't found them yet. But so that's one of the big items that you want to take into consideration is how are you going to finance this?
Yeah, Cynde, how would you, where would you look for people to finance your rescue?
Well, it's advertising. It's usually a job that not most people are very good at. So you want to try and find, maybe even consider these kind of people for your board of directors, people that have a finger on the pulse of the area that you're going to be working in. You know, that could be bankers, marketers, veterinarians, anything like that. They have.
Or maybe angel investors might
Absolutely
be interested. Yeah, there's a lot more, isn't there, too, than just saying I want to start a rescue or shelter.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're very well off yourself, which most of us aren't, you've got to get somebody helping you because the expenses really add up.
Yeah.
And you know, so then the next consideration you want is, do you want to just be a breed specific rescue? So maybe you were only going to rescue poodles.
No,
Those rescue.
really muffled. I can't hear you.
Okay. Microphone. Anyone else having a hard time hearing me? Okay. Sometimes the breed specific rescues have it a little easier because people that are looking for that breed will come to you first. And whereas a rescue that rescues whoever needs them the most, that's a lot more difficult to get those animals advertised and get them out to the public and so on and so forth. C was a little confusing to some people. Rescue from breeders, individuals, or shelters. So you want to take that into consideration. There have been some really unscrupulous breeders breeder, and I would really question how well those dogs were bred, so on. And our rescue personally would never buy from a breeder. That's just, it just is wrong on so many levels. And next, you want to be aware of the legalities, and you need to consider hiring an attorney to help expedite. There are many attorneys out there that will do this pro bono for a rescue or a shelter that is looking to legitimize their business. So they will help you with filing the papers for the 501c3, so on and so forth. It takes quite a while. It can take up to a year to get all of this in order. And it's a lot of paperwork. So consider including an attorney in your group of founders or giving them a seat on the board of directors. I mean, that's, we had an attorney on our board when I was with the Arc of San Juan, and boy, did she come in handy. We actually had to take somebody to court, and she saved us. So an attorney consists with setting up your 501c3, as I mentioned before, your nonprofit status, and your bylaws, the governing constitution of the rescue. You've got to have bylaws, and you've got to stick to them, because this is where things really start going sideways, is the volunteers that you get, or even directors. They kind of start going off on their own. They've got their own ideas, and your bylaws will keep everything in order. And, you can give these kinds of directors their walking papers if they're going against the bylaws. An attorney can assist with, oh, sorry, I already read that. Attorneys sometimes will do pro bono, as I mentioned. And the idea of helping animals can be especially attractive to some individuals. So, they do need to do a certain number of hours pro bono, and to hear that they can do search for a pro bono attorney. And consider having a veterinarian, a behavior consultant, trainer, specialist in marketing, fundraising, etc., on your board of directors. Any questions about any of that?
I don't see any yet. And I'm looking in both areas where the live streaming is occurring and here. So Devona, if you have any questions for us, please post it to the chat room, and Cynde will answer them. So basically, just if you get it in your head, I love animals and I'm going to start a shelter or a rescue, there's a lot more to it, and you better have your ducks in a row before you even attempt to do that. So are there cases where people don't follow through and they just start a rescue and call it a rescue, and yet they don't have anything in place? They're just feeding animals and taking care of them? Or
I think there's quite a bit of that out there, but without being a legitimate rescue, and when I say that, I'm saying 501c3, you really aren't going to have access to a lot of things that are going to help you, like Adopt a Pet and Pet Finder. That's really been a godsend for most rescues, because you advertise your animals and it's nationwide. So you get a lot of attention.
I know Devona, who is here with us, she does a lot of fostering and with reputable rescues in her area in Washington State, and she's amazing.
You are a godsend.
Yeah, she is absolutely a godsend. And so if you have any questions as we go along, or want to make a comment, please do so. All right.
Now, fosters really are the lifeblood of a rescue. Without them, we can't bring in animals. And we've certainly, along with all the other rescues, have struggled with this for years. And it got so many people were wanting to adopt because they were home, but not that many people really wanted to foster, which I thought was kind of strange, because they're home. They could, offer a few weeks of their time, or, worst case scenario, a few months. But of course, none of us really knew it was going to take as long as it did. But Devona, like I said, you are a godsend, and the rescue that you help out is very lucky to have you. So the other consideration for us, especially here in Southern California, is you want to consider rescuing from other countries and consider adopting out of state and out of the country. Some of the best adoptions, the most wonderful homes were out of state. We've adopted to several homes in Canada. They were fabulous homes. Couldn't have asked for better homes. So there are a number of opportunities, either people driving or there are some private pilots that will fly a dog. And we flew a German Shepherd up to Oregon, and it took 3 different pilots because they can only go so far. And so they would land, meet up with the next pilot, and away they went. And it was just, each time it just brought tears to our eyes because it was just so beautiful. So we adopt, like I said, a lot of animals from Tijuana. I work with a fabulous rescuer down there, and they immediately get the dog into veterinary care and do everything that they can for these animals before we even get them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
So I just want to shout out hi to Sarah Matters and to Therese and to have Devonna made a comment. I love fostering and giving second chances, and isn't that what it's all about? And when you talk about doing this internationally, is it harder? It would be my question, because you don't get to see the people, or do you just take a chance, or do they have to fill out big applications, or how does that work?
We've been very lucky in this arena because anyone that we've adopted to, they made the trip down here. They either flew here or drove here, and they saw an animal that they were really attracted to, and contacted us, filled out the applications. Many phone calls later, then they had made plans to come down and take the animal back with them. So and that we'll get to in a little bit about the extent that we go to. We don't just grab an application and adopt a dog. There's a lot of considerations.
Well, the reason I asked that, because I see a lot from Texas, a lot of dogs are from Mexico, working with one from Portugal right now. And sometimes it doesn't work out because they were paired with the wrong people and weren't told all of the problems that the dog actually had.
Yeah, and it's my bottom line, and again, we'll talk about this in another slide, is we have to consider the animal. I really put the animal, or the humans' feelings and arguments and bribes and all the things that we've been hit with. I have to put that in the back seat, because it ultimately is what is best for this particular dog. Every animal, dog or cat, every animal is unique, and they have special requirements, and they can't all go to the same kind of home. We need maybe a home that has no other animals, or a home that has no children, low energy home. I mean, just a lot of considerations.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a question, Diane?
No, go ahead. No, you
Okay.
answered my question.
So now what? We've got all this taken care of, all of the legalities taken care of. We're considering what kind of animals we want to rescue, so on and so forth. So now your foster homes are filling up. These are some of the needs. First of all, you want to consider medical. Most animals that are rescued from another country, from the streets, from even a home that just basically wanted to get rid of the dog. There almost always are going to be medical needs. They probably, many of them that we get have never seen a vet, let alone have vaccines or anything else. So this is where you definitely need to find a vet who will discount your services, and pro bono spay and neuters. The vets that we work with, we've got several, and they each will give us neuters a month for free. And then, a discount with any other services. That's huge.
Very much.
Yeah, that's huge. And then, of course, their appearance. And we've got a groomer that will groom the animals pro bono, especially these guys that have longer hair or, poodly kind of dogs, and they just come out looking so beautiful and they get adopted immediately. You want to find a pro bono positive reinforcement trainer. I want to scream that from the rooftops, because in our area, I feel like I'm the only one. There are so many aversive trainers, and so many of them that help out rescues, which is wonderful. But in so many situations,
we just froze for a moment here. Cynde will be back, I'm sure. There she is.
The last thing that these animals need is somebody putting a prong collar, or even worse, an electric collar on them. And so I don't need to say anymore. You want to absolutely consider their health and their diet. Most likely, these animals were not being fed very good food. They were probably lucky if they got anything thrown to them once a day. So we always opt for the best diet that we can afford. A number of not the big box stores, they don't donate anything, but the smaller pet stores. And things like that. So definitely want to check with them. And of course, last but definitely not least, it needs to be the first thing probably. Do you have foster homes? Now, again, if you don't have foster homes, you don't have any animals, because you have no place to put them.
And you have to make sure that the foster homes are qualified as well, that they're not going to be putting any pain devices on the dogs, and they're going to be doing what you ask them to do. And Devonna can relate to that. She said a good trainer is very important. So it all goes full circle, and all of these things cost money, even discounted. You still have to have money. We had a shelter here who developed a scholarship service, who would pay for the behavior trainers to come in and work with the people and the dog when they were adopted. But it was at a discounted rate as well. Yeah. But it really helped. But that's a good suggestion if you can swing it.
Yeah. So you can imagine just the things that I've mentioned here sometimes can add up to be a few $1,000s. We've certainly gotten animals that amputated, or just some pretty expensive stuff. Even though that vet discounted a lot, it's still much more money than we're ever going to get from an adoption fee. So this is why you've got to really put some time in looking for donations. And then this is a big one. Home checks are a must.
Yes.
You can imagine people can tell you anything. They can put anything on their application. And you can feel really good about that phone conversation. Oh, this person just sounds perfect. I can't adopt this dog to them fast enough. And then you get to the house. And there have been several that I've had to just say, I'm sorry, this is not going to work out. So you need to consider the fencing. That's my first bugaboo. A lot of people don't realize that the escape places almost always are going to be the gate, where the gate and the fence post are. If this is a small dog, most of them can get through that. If there is a balcony off of a bedroom, say, how wide are the
slats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And another big one is the energy in the house. I run into a lot of young families that have little ones running around, and even teenagers, coming in in the house all the time, music blaring, da 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 da. Do I want to put a scared, fearful dog that doesn't have any idea where it is in a home like this? No. So, and then of course, you always have to consider if there's a resident animal, cat or dog. And that's where you really want to have a trainer on board, because it may take quite a while. And a lot of people, they understand doing it slowly, but their idea of slowly sometimes is an hour. So, and each situation is different. So again, you've got to be very.
So would you say that fosters are hard to locate? And my second part of that question would be, are the fosters paid for taking care of these dogs? How does that handle?
The way we always do it is, no, the fosters are volunteers, just like all of us are. None of us get paid. Finding a foster, well, boy, if I could answer that, I think we would be sitting just fine.
So it's harder than what you think it is. You just say we have foster families, but they aren't as plentiful as you would think.
Right. And a lot of people will come when we're having adoption events, for instance. We'll have somebody come and ask, oh, maybe I'd like to foster, tell me about it. And 9 times out of 10 they don't call you back. So maybe they got home and talked to the husband and he said no way. Most people's concern is, well, I'm going to fall in love with the dog and adopt him.
That's my concern. I'm a foster fail.
Yes, I have a house full of foster failures. But most of mine come because they have a behavior situation that doesn't, they wouldn't be the best in just a normal family type situation. And, working with them, maybe I saw something in them that I just felt, they probably just need to stay here.
Yeah, Devonna had a comment, if I can get that in real quick. She said, I'm totally involved with all of my fosters' adoption, meeting the people that want to adopt, and I get to choose the best people for my foster, which I think is different than how others might handle it. I enjoy learning and training to make my dog successful, and she is very successful, and that's why they like her, and dogs keep coming to her. But I think that was a really good point. So, because I think most fosters aren't involved in the adoption, are they?
No. Like she's very experienced, and boy, I would welcome someone that has that kind of initiative. We do involve the foster, when we go to do the home check, And because they have more information about the dog than we do.
Hmm.
And they can, tell stories and all of that. But as far as having to review the applications and choose, maybe the bottom three or the top three, however you want to call it, that's been predominantly on me. Like I said, we would love. That doesn't happen that often. So it just really depends on the rescue and, what guidelines they put up for fosters.
Mhm.
So, like I said, checking the fences and the gates and the balconies, the energy in the house, and certainly taking into consideration any other animals. For the really small babies, we really need to take into consideration birds of prey. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
something that most people don't realize, but that little one, even, cat,
Yeah, cats
uh,
too. Mhm.
will be gone in a heartbeat. Even though we will not adopt to a home that allows cats to go outside. That's just, again, one of our rules. Here in California, there's between the coyotes and the birds of prey and the different size cats, whether they're mountain lions or whatever, we really have to watch our babies.
Mhm.
Nearby busy streets, and this is where a really busy home, a lot of times where people don't pay attention to making sure that door is closed, I would have a problem with.
Mhm. Oh, that's a big one. Pools in your area, pretty big. Cindy is in the California area, and so of course, dogs can drown in pools, and she's kind of freezing a little bit, so I'm just going to talk. There she is.
Okay, am I back?
You're back, and I was talking about pools and how important, well, how almost everybody has one in California, so dogs can drown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, your concern is for the animal's needs, not those of the people. Because again, I mean, people will tell you anything. And we've seen it. It just almost gets ugly sometimes, especially
People
when
lie? Are you kidding me?
yeah.
Oh,
And especially when we have puppies. Oh my goodness, the fighting and the arguing and the carrying on. And all that does is just check them off my list. Yeah, I wasn't going to adopt you anyway.
that has to be hard for you when the hope is that you will find a really good foster home, and then you have to say no.
Mhm.
I mean,
It
that's
is.
devastating. Yeah.
It is. Or even, and it happens.
Mhm.
Well, actually, I'll talk about that later, so I'm not going to get into it. Okay, so training. Everybody wants to get a dog that at least knows their basics.
Mhm.
And so again, that's why you really want to have a trainer on board so that they can help that dog just be.
And I love its mandatory force-free positive reinforcement.
Is on our contract. We will be happy to recommend a force-free trainer for these people. And, that just kind of opens the door to let people know that, all trainers are not created equal. So please do your research.
Mhm.
And most people don't want to go down that road. They don't want aversive training, but if they think that's all that's out there, that's what they do. Okay, so teaching basic commands and manners, loose leash walking using 2 points of contact. That's a T-touch thing. But if you are all of you familiar with walking a dog on 2 points of contact?
I don't see any answers, so probably no.
Okay, so there are a number of harnesses out there now that allow a leash that has one leash that has a clip on each end. And one is usually attached at the chest and the other is usually attached at the base of the neck. And so basically you have the ability to guide the shoulders. The shoulders really are the center of balance for a dog. If you can guide the shoulders, you can guide the dog. So you're not pulling on the neck. You're not pulling the dog off balance by pulling on the neck, so on and so forth. And T-touch, excuse me. T-touch is probably the shortest way to describe it. It's a mindful way to touch dogs. And it's the ways to do the different T-touches you can find on the internet. And what helps it to be calming and allowing the dog to start trusting. One of the things that I always found so eye-opening was when we would take a class of T-touch students into a shelter. And, you know, we show the shelter personnel about T-touch and using 2 points of contact and so on and so forth. And invariably somebody raises their hand and says, but we don't have time for that. And I remind people, you know, when you go into this dog's cage and you put food down, do you just turn around and walk out, or do you pat the dog on the head? Oh, well, yeah, we'll usually scratch his ears or pet him on the head or something. And
So Cindy froze a bit. I just want to welcome Skip and Patricia. And Devonna said that she does know about 2 points of contact. So we had some more people come in, and while you were freezing, I just welcomed them in. So
okay.
Continue.
Okay, so just reminding people that it takes just as much time to do a mindful T-touch as it does to do a mindless pat on the head.
That's
And
true. Yeah.
the difference in what that does for the dog is night and day, because the dog is left with a feeling of real connection and caring with that mindful touch.
And Teresa also said that she's familiar with 2 points of contact. And she does have a comment question, if I could just go through it.
Yes.
Because Teresa's from Ireland. Okay. I may be jumping ahead, she says, but do rescues offer any help to adopters, long-term fosters for senior dogs? She said here in Ireland, because insurance companies will not take on any dog 8+ years. That's interesting. For the first time. So rescues pay for senior dogs' veterinary expenses, except for normal needs like vaccinations. She said the premise is that potential adopters will not be put off from adopting a senior pet by potentially having to face large medical bills.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's very interesting. So how do we do it here in the United States with senior dogs?
Well, again, that's every rescue and every shelter is different. Our rescue, seniors are greatly discounted. And we've just not really run into a problem where having a senior dog is a turnoff due to medical expenses. What usually turns people off is knowing that maybe they won't have them for very. There are those very special people out there that those are the animals that they really want to help, even though they know they may only have them for, I don't know, a few weeks, months. I happen to have a little guy, a little schnoodle, that we got him out of the shelter when he was 12 years old. They were going to euthanize him that day. And once I got him home, I saw how horribly fearful he was. If I just even, waved my hand, he would go to ground and cry.
Wow.
He was afraid of food. He was afraid of a food bowl. He was afraid of everything. And his little body was just very crooked and out of balance and so on. So I decided very quickly, this little guy probably just needs to stay with us for however long he has. Well, that was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, he's 17 now, and he's doing great. He no longer goes to ground if I wave my hand. He's certainly not afraid of his food.
That shows how special you are with these dogs. And I never hear anything of a dog that you're working with that doesn't thrive instead of just survive.
Well, thank you.
Just want to say hello to Rachel. So we have some more coming in still. So we're talking about training.
And so my last point here was consider offering a pro bono training session or two after the adoption. And almost always, I've been the trainer on many of these situations because once they kind of have a relationship with you during the whole adoption process, they want to stick with you. And it again depends on what the behavior problems are, but many times it does take more than 2 sessions. So now you end up with a client, and in my situation, I've ended up with some very close friends over the years, just from an adoption and a training session. So it's a chance to really connect with people and with the dog that you know so well. And there we go. How would you like to? Okay. Put this down here.
Teresa says
So-
she's happy to hear the little guy is still around after that much time,
Yeah, I know. It's been such a pleasure because, like I said, I just keep thinking, well, his name is Magic, and he's
nice.
definitely living up to that name.
Very much so.
So this is how we work with an adoption, because one of the things that people are really concerned about is, what if I adopt this dog and it just doesn't work out? It really gives them some peace of mind when they know that that dog can always come back to the rescue. So we consider, or you can consider, giving the potential adopter a 2-week trial period before adoption is finalized. If the pet doesn't work out, they can come back to the rescue and the adoption fee will be refunded. Let them know, however, if they find they cannot keep the animal after the adoption has been finalized, whether it's 1 day or years later, which has happened, that animal is welcome back at the rescue, but the adoption fee is considered a donation. Always talk about the need for positive reinforcement training and a diet that will serve them, and not just a bag of dry kibble.
Right.
These dogs in their natural habitat in the wild eat meat, fruits, and vegetables, and that's what they should be eating always.
Diet can be very healing as well, as far
Absolutely.
as stress release and everything that goes on in the body when the proper nutrients are available.
Right. Just as a trainer, and I'm sure you do this too, Diane, because we deal with so many behaviors.
Little freeze there. She'll be back soon. Hold on.
We can't really, okay, we can't really talk about behavior modification until we talk about diet. It's just like working with little kids. If a child is eating a lot of sugary stuff and that's it, we're going to have behavior problems.
Mhm.
And the same thing goes for diet with dogs and cats.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
I did pick up my master certification in canine nutrition, and it's much more complicated. It's not just say diet or nutrition. It goes into much more detail, and the individual is what we really need to look at.
yeah, and gotten them on a good diet for a couple months, they actually start changing colors.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you see the dog how they were meant to be, not how they appeared when you adopted them
Mhm.
or when you rescued them, sorry.
Mhm. Very good.
So this, I know I threw a lot at you guys. I feel like it was kind of a little fire hose there. So please
Well,
ask any questions.
I have a question. So how do you see dogs adjusting to their new homes? Does it take a long time, or do you have any recommendations as to how long it might take to adjust to a foster home or within a shelter or rescue itself?
That's a great question, Diane, because again, the individual dog probably has different needs. Some dogs that have just been from one home to another home to maybe out on the streets to a shelter, and I mean, that poor dog ends up in his forever home, but he doesn't know that. He doesn't know that, this is his last stop. So there may be some trust issues,
Mhm.
and or at least it's going to take a while to settle in. I always tell our adopters, don't expect much for several weeks. The dog will show you who they really are.
Mhm. So for several weeks, which makes sense, like a decompression time period or time frame. And Cynde will be right back. She has a little bit of an internet issue, but she comes right back to us. And Therese had a question too. And she's saying, so a question on the 2-week time period. She said, I always feel that the dog is still settling in a new home. And I had talked about that when you disappeared for a moment. So does this have any further emotionally adverse effects in such a scenario?
Does what? I'm not sure.
She said she feels that the dog is still settling in the new home during that 2-week period. So if they don't settle in, is what I think she's alluding to, are there emotionally adverse effects in that regard? What if the foster says, oh no, it'll be fine, doesn't listen to you to take that 2-week decompression time? Can the dog be emotionally challenged and have adverse effects from that?
It can happen. Again, we have to consider the individual dog, how sensitive they are, how easy they are to, just kind of take it on the chin and keep on going, or we have to work with that dog. Sometimes coming back to the person that fostered them helps, because now that's something that is familiar and can definitely get them back on the right track again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Devon had a comment too. Did you have more to add to that? Because
No,
yeah, because it can have adverse. We're dealing with stress, and if you're not releasing the stress, you are going to have some adverse effects. That's just what happens with people as well as animals. So Devana said, my foster now is unpacking his luggage, very fearful and shy. a little dog, little black dog, I've seen him, but I am giving him the space so he will learn to trust. And so you can see where she's much more advanced than some of the foster homes would be, that she actually knows what to do to help this dog de-stress and not confront them.
Right, and which we really shouldn't be confronting them in the first place. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
they need to be, you need to work in tandem with them and what they bring to the show. And I started to mention this when I froze up last time. One thing that really helps dogs, in fact, I think it helps anybody, humans, dogs, whatever, is to have a routine. And so the quicker you can kind of get them into a routine, that this is what time we eat breakfast, this is what time we eat dinner, we go to bed at, this time, they really fall into that routine very quickly. And that really helps with that trial period, that 2-week trial period. But along with that is helping them to do their for it or not. If they just come and sit in front of you, yes, good, sit. And, they get a scratch behind the ears, or, play tug toy, or, throw a ball for them. Or, what they really want is a treat. So
Right.
if you let them know from the get-go that you are absolutely a resource, and they'll come to you and wait for you to make them successful, instead of looking for what's wrong with this dog, and they feel that.
Right, and so you're rewarding what they're doing right, and you're making them feel comfortable with routine, and you're also helping them to de-stress, because some of these dogs, and as you described with their schnoodle, he or she was already way above the thresholds of stress when they came to you. And so helping to equalize that. And I'm always fascinated on how that works, and how the dogs handle stress, so that they're not any longer just surviving, but they're thriving. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's really important. Do you see anything else that happens that you hate to see in stress levels getting too high, or how they handle stress in a pattern fashion? Like, do you see any patterns occurring when they are in a situation of foster home or shelter?
Yeah, and again, it's each animal is unique in how they would show that stress. It could be that they're peeing and pooping in the house, and
That's common, pretty common. Separation anxiety, maybe. And a lot of things. I want to just say a shout out hi to Joan. Thanks for being here and watching. And Therese has a question, Cynde. So she said, yes, so while setting them up for success without putting expectation on them, it's more of a comment than a question. But yeah, we use that word or that phrase a lot, setting them up for success. And people have to know what that means. How do you set them up for success? So I guess that would be my question to you from that comment.
well, it's pretty much what I was saying is, let them know that when you're pleased with something that they've done, don't just ignore it, because then how do they know whether they should repeat it or not? Dogs are pretty simple in that regard. They will repeat what they find rewarding. And if they see that it makes you happy and you throw a ball for them, well, yes, they're going to do it again. Just like if you fed them scraps from the table, well, yes, they're going to beg next time. So it's a very simple concept that's too many times I see humans just don't get. that they really need to give that feedback and help that animal to feel successful.
Mhm.
And the more they experience,
The more they experience success, the better they become in handling life, I think. And that's what Cynde would say as she froze. But Cynde, when you get back, I know that you have a video you want to show of a wolf that you worked with. And we're coming up to the end of the discussion, and I think that would be a very good place to end. Oh, we lost her. There she is. I was saying, you have some video of a wolf, and I think it would be a very good way to end, because we're getting up to the end of our session here, is by showing the video of the wolf that you have
okay,
to round us out here. And I have to say, Cynde is absolutely amazing, you know, seeing how she works and what she works with, and being a friend. And we spent a week at Best Friends in Utah together, and just an amazing woman. And I would really like to see this video. I haven't seen it either yet. So
okay, well, I can no longer see you on the screen, so I'm not sure
Oh,
how to get that
okay.
back.
Just if you can go down to share your screen, or your PowerPoint disappeared as well if it was in there. And
Okay, let's see. All right, there you are.
Okay.
And share the screen.
technology is so much fun sometimes. It's a good when it's working. Okay, so you have 4 videos. I don't know how long are each one of these?
Well, actually, I was just going to show you parts. Oh, let's
Okay.
see here. Current slide. There we go. So let me give you a little background. The picture on your upper right screen is a wolf named Sagoni. He was at Wolf Mountain Sanctuary, and which is about a 2-hour drive from where I am on the coast in California. And, you know, they get snow there, so it's really cold. This little guy, where he is now, that's his area, but to the right is kind of a pit that he had rolled down into and stayed there for about a week. He was peeing and defecating on himself. He wasn't eating. He just wasn't able to get out of there. And so they contacted me and asked if I thought there was anything that could be done. We don't have a goal. We do the work, and the animal will show us where it needed to be done and how they will respond to it. So that's what this first video is. And I'm sorry, this is YouTube, so there's going to be ads apparently.
And there might be ads, so just be aware that we might have to run through the ads. We'll see.
Okay, so I'm down there in the pit with him.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh.
So you double clicked on it.
I did, and the
Might
video
have to, look at your share screen, and you might have to do it that way. Go to your share screen and see if you have the YouTube pulled up, and then just go to it. You share your screen with us. There we go. I see it. Very good.
Okay, so what I found out very quickly is he couldn't even lift his head. And so I immediately started doing touches around his forehead, around his ears, As you may or may not know, the ears are a very healing part of the body. So we work all areas of the ears. Now I am putting what we call a head wrap on to give him information, a little pressure around the head. There I'm doing some ear work. And what I found with him is he had no heat. This animal was so cold. If I didn't know better, I would think he was dead. And all I could think of was, can I get some circulation going? At least get him to respond in some way. For probably 30 minutes. And I think, I'm trying to remember at the end of this, which is coming up here very shortly, if he lifted his head or not. He gave me some indication that he was able to move. So when he did that, with the help of several other people, sorry about this, I got him up and we took him over to one of the troughs that had water in it to try and wash off some of the urine and feces, because wolves are very proud animals and would never want to be in that situation. So then we brought him up top, out of the pit, and here he is. He's able to actually lift his head up now and assist me.
Yeah.
Quite a group of people had gathered because they'd heard about what was going on with Sigoni. So I'm trying to explain what I'm doing with Ttouch.
Amazing.
This is where I'm explaining that we just do the work. And he's receiving touches all down his spine as he's helping to clean himself.
And that's important in this situation. And also with the rescues and shelters that we're talking about, and how you approach and work with these animals to help them revive, basically, because you thought this wolf was dead.
Yeah. And as we know, even when we're doing Ttouch on people, where we hold stress is the same with where the animals hold their stress. It's usually in the shoulders, the neck, down the back. And when we're stressed, we tend to disconnect with that part of our body. So with animals, many times, depending on the kind of stress they're suffering from, they don't even realize that they have a back end. So if we can do connecting touches, basically connecting their front end with their back end, that starts making all kinds of difference. And this poor boy had been laying still for over a week, and of course he didn't feel connected. Now it's happening, and we see it happening right in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
So after working on him for a little bit, we don't do long Ttouch sessions. We do a short session, and then we let them process. The process part is just as important as the touch. The nervous system has to kind of, sorry, I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. The nervous system has to pretty much take in and process what just happened, because how many times has anyone ever moved your skin in a circle and a quarter? Probably never. And so your nervous system knows that that was something very different. So I'm leaving him to process right now. And I went to the enclosure next to us. And these are several wolves that that will be okay if you are in there not looking at them, certainly not reaching out to them. So you notice everybody except the handler is just keeping to themselves. Sagoni is in the area next door, and we don't really need to watch him walk around. But he did become very curious about me. For some reason, he pulled me out of the crowd and decided he needed to smell my hair and my legs and my back.
Doesn't surprise me.
But it's amazing how they'll pick someone to pay attention to. And it was at that point I looked over here and I saw Sagoni trying to get up. And a number of people saw that. And so, of course, we all go back over to the other side to see what Sagoni was up to. And as many times as I've seen this video, sorry. Oh, stop it. Okay, let's stop this.
You might have to go back to the PowerPoint and click on the fourth one.
Oh, stop. There we go. Okay. This is what brings me to tears every time.
And you said this really changed your outlook and the way that you work with animals, and you could talk more about that. We're going a little over, but I think this is really compelling and important to look at.
Sagoni is telling all of his buddies, I'm back. And all of his buddies have joined in. And it was an absolute.
Okay, we can't see it. We can't see it. So you're gonna have to share that.
Oh, goodness.
You might have to backtrack, go down to share screen, and you should see your video. Just have to go back and forth with this. Now you've got us all on edge. It's like a show that you're on edge and you just can't wait to see this happening now.
I'm sorry. Can you see that?
Nope. Just click on share screen. And then it should come up, and then you should be able to see the YouTube.
Well, apparently I'm in a YouTube screen and not on
I
the
can
Zoom.
see you.
Hmm.
Let's see. I'll come back to the room. Oh, there you go. And then go to the end of your PowerPoint and click on your number 4. And
Yeah, and it takes me out to YouTube.
patience.
Sorry. Oh, goodness.
Well, it's going to be a cliffhanger if nothing else.
Oh, my goodness, I can't believe this was the best part.
Well, can you scroll to the end of your PowerPoint where the links are and then just try from there?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing as soon as I click on it. Oh, okay. Do you see me now?
I can
I
see
know.
you. Yes. Yeah, I
I-
see you.
Okay, let's try this here. I'm sorry, somebody was at the door. So my dogs are having a fit.
You need to be sorry. Everybody understands that.
Yeah, you all have dogs.
Yeah, we all have dogs. Hi, Melinda. Nice to see you here. You missed a little bit of it, so you can, anybody who wants to look at the video over again, if you came in late, you could do so. I will post it to the group and you'll be able to freely look at it again. We're just waiting for the last part of the wolf story that Cindy's telling, and it is quite compelling and almost miraculous, since this wolf was in a pit for a whole week. He probably thought he was dead too.
Yeah.
And Cindy certainly thought he was, because his whole body was cold. Excuse me. So we're waiting for the cliffhanger here.
Yeah, when I hit share screen, it says you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing.
So I stopped share, so let's start over with that. And just go back down to share. Sorry, I'm talking too long.
Yeah. Is that Valor concerned about you?
Valor, yes. My wolf. Well, what we can do is post the link. If you send me the link, I can post it in the when I put the recording up, and I'll post it so everybody can see later.
Okay.
And so I just want to end. I want to thank Cindy so much for being with us here. If I can talk, sorry about that. But a lot of people came in late. So I just want to say, Cindy has vast experience and we've known each other for a long time. She is a CPDT-KA. She got her beginnings in working with her father's Dobermans, who were competition conformation. She's a P3 Ttouch Advanced Practitioner, member of PPG and IAABC. She's Aggression certified with dogs and fear-free certified, and a founder of the Arcs of San Juan Animal Rescue, which was started in 2006, and is now the founder and president of the Forever, FUR-Ever Home Animal Rescue 2010. And I want to thank you so much for being with us. I now see the links being posted, and I don't know if you want to try again or just send me that last link. Up to you.
Well, let's see.
Maybe we can see it. Hi, Margot. Thanks for joining us. You came in a little bit late, but the recording will be played very shortly. I'll put it up as soon as I can, as soon as it's done recording.
Are you seeing any of this?
I'm not seeing. So go back up to your sharing.
It
Hold
says
on.
I'm screen sharing.
And then just click on the YouTube screen. And again, it will be recorded. And if we don't get that last piece, I will put it in the links. And Cindy, how can people reach you if they have questions?
They can go to my website. Actually, I didn't put that on there, did I?
Nope, just give it to me. Type it in.
It's icpaws.com. IC Paws. It's short for IC Possibilities. And there's a way to contact me there.
Okay, got it in.
You can contact me on Facebook. I follow Diane religiously.
Thank you. And ditto right back.
Well, like Diane said, we've known each other for a lot of years, and I knew from the first class that she was in that she was special. And
Thank you.
that's she just keeps getting better and better and doing all these fabulous things. This book should be the Bible everywhere.
I don't know about the Bible, but releasing stress certainly is important to any behavior modification or work that we do with animals, because if we don't release that stress, the behavior just continues over and over again. And that's why I'm so enthralled with this wolf video and just what Ttouch. You didn't do anything. You didn't make the dog or drag the wolf up out of the pit or do anything. You were just waiting for him to respond if he could.
And that's actually, you used the correct word there. Are you guys hearing this YouTube noise? Okay. I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to put it in so we don't waste more time. We're quite a bit over. And so I want to thank everybody who came to Dog's Voice, whether you came late or early. You'll still get to see it. And big thank you to Cynde. And this is Dog's Voice. Your dogs are talking to you. Are you listening? So thanks
you,
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.